Hello guys, and welcome to second game in this series. It's played on the same map. I'm going to try and introduce better map variety if the ranked pool decides to give me a different map. And this time we'll be playing against DuroSVK, and I'll be playing a mixed blue for motorized deck. So let's get started. This is pretty self-explanatory because they just really like that CV starting point. Okay, I call in 2 squads of SAS because I'm planning on one squad to go into Anna and another squad to flank around the map and sneak into my opponent's spawn. I also, if you can see here, I pulled out a Celtic and a Cobra. The Cobra is going to lock down anything that tries to run down this road, and the Celtic, since I sort of know how Duro plays, he has a heavy reliance on MI8s. I'm going to be using the Celtic to snipe down his transport gunships, and the AH-1T, I'm going to be placing it in front of the Celtic so that if he has any anti-air helicopters, they're not going to immediately shoot down my Celtic. And I can use the Cobra as a sort of shield for this guy. I put this guy up here because I want him closer to Alpha. I probably should have placed him right up here though, because that's the closest you can get. Also, actually, another thing you may have noticed with me is that when I place helicopters, I'm placing them above the hedge lines. And that's because if you do that, the helicopters start off flying. If you deploy them on the ground here, they're going to start off landed, and they have this short takeoff time, and if you put them on top of an obstacle like this, they're already flying, so you don't have to worry about takeoff. I called in another Celtic back there, but I get rid of that soon. My deployment strategy on the left should be familiar if you've seen my previous video. My tank, recon infantry, AA, it's going to move up the left road, and my Hachinanashiki, I plan on putting it in this forest right here to cover anything coming down that road. I bring out a Bradley so I can have an ATGM for the middle fight. 2 tanks because I like the gun on the Leopard 1A5. And I'm left with 25 points, which is a little awkward, so I get rid of the Celtic and call in 2 cards of FSK. Just checking to make sure I'm content with everything. Yeah, everything's fine here. I pull the Crotal back, as you can see in a bit. After this, yeah, I pull the Crotal back because it's a wheeled AA piece. I don't want it like racing up to the front line in front of everything else I got, because that would be pretty stupid and my AA would be in harm's way. So we'll jump to when the match actually starts. Right here. So order of prioritization, I moved these guys first, down middle, then I moved these guys next, and then this guy and this guy. These guys can move last because, you know, the left side flank is usually a sneaky move, and I want to win the middle fight and alpha fight early on. Tapping through my units. I move my Cobra here so he can cover the road, my Celtic a little bit behind, so that if he has any AA helicopters coming in this way, he'll first try to shoot down the Cobra rather than the Celtic, and I can move the Celtic up to intercept. This squad of SAS is going to fly here, unload the SAS here, and move them this way. On the off chance that he has an anti-air helicopter coming in this way, I don't want to lose this SAS. Also, it's I don't want this guy to be spotted. So you notice I purchased the Hachi Nanashiki here. That's because some players like to be sneaky on this map, and similar to my SAS strategy, some players will fly a helicopter with infantry around this way, unload recon infantry around here, and move them into the spawn, and I don't want that happening. Same thing, Cobra moves here to cover that road, and the Celtic moves around here to cover any helicopters coming in this way. So I move my Bradley into this forest because I want him covering here and anything that potentially might come in here. You can also place the Bradley here as well. This is a pretty neat spot, but if you place him here, that pretty much restricts the Bradley's covering or Bradley's fire range to Delta, because you can't really shoot through here because of that town. I immediately move the FSKs off the road because I know he's going to have stuff coming down here. I don't want these guys getting shot down. The Crotal I move into this hedgerow because it's a good hedgerow. I see the Mi-8 TV, so I attack move my Crotal so that it will automatically fire on this helicopter when it comes in range. So I lose the Celtic, that was pretty bad. But the upside is that my Crotal manages to shoot down that Hind. Just attack moving my units so that they use accuracy rather than stabilizer. I pull the FSKs back this way because I recognize he has recoilless rifles and I want to get these guys away as fast as possible. Now, this was a pretty stupid move on my part. My Crotal, I probably should have hidden him, but I thought I was safe since I was away, or I was out of range of these light rifles. But he had Conkers in the town, and these guys managed to snipe down my Crotal. That was a pretty stupid loss on my part. I immediately moved the FSK in the forest so that they're out of line of fire. So I notice here, immediately unload my Rangers. He has a cheap flak unit, but I pull my Avenger back because this guy is extremely fragile, 5 HP, no armor. So if I were to push him up, he would easily get destroyed by this unit, and I don't want to lose my AA piece on the left. Preserving your AA pieces is very important in 1v1s. So I notice this guy bombs my Bradley. I move him back. I notice the Conquer's fire. I pretty much, at this point, accept that I've lost the Bradley, because if I don't move him, the bombs are going to kill him. If I do move him, the Conquers are going to kill him. Funny thing is, Duro uses a napalm bomber, so this guy just gets a little bit of damage because I moved him out. But the fire actually blocks the line of sight from the Conquerors, so I was able to safely move this guy back. I move my Hachinashiki this way because I don't want him driving down that road. Same with my leopards, I pull them back. So I move the rangers into this hedgerow because I want as much line of sight into this sector, but I recognize he has ASU 85, so I immediately try to pull these guys back, although I end up losing that squad. I purchase a D Eagle because he has a lot of infantry in this small town. I just want to bomb it and dislodge the infantry. I move the Avenger back so that's in cover instead of out in the open. And call in a Ranger squad because I want recon on that sector. So I noticed, if you saw a little red markers there, he jumped his Conquerors over to the adjacent building, so I know they're still alive. So what I do is, instead of moving this leopard up or whatever, I move him into this forest. And what I plan on doing with this guy is, since I have to recap this town, I'm going to move him up around here to provide gun support into this town when I eventually push into it. I'm moving the SAS so that they'll go into the spawn. I move one squad of FSK into this forest because I want to intercept anything that might be coming down through here. And I move another FSK into this forest because I want to reinforce this as much as possible. If you have control over this forest, you can pretty much control anything that comes out of this spawn, so it's a pretty powerful position. Just sniping units here with my leopard. I notice he has a gunship, so I immediately pull back my tank behind the cover of my Avenger. I lose my Avenger, but I get the kill on the Hind, so I consider that a fair trade. I notice a Scott 2 moving in. I don't know if this guy has any infantry, but I'm not going to wait around to find out, so I move the Bradley up this way to intercept the Scott 2 before it gets into my forest. I move the Cobra up here because I'm predicting he has some units coming down this road and I just want to snipe them. I select the Pumas to fly into his spawn to maybe spot out his CV. So I noticed I lost my Cobra around here, so I know he has something in this forest, so I move my FSK up to see what it is. I noticed this is an an AA helicopter, so I immediately pull back my Pumas, although I lose them. I purchase a Tornado F2 because I recognize Duro has invested a bit in the napalm bombers, and I want to punish his bomber buys. Since he has Formosa that easily counters my infantry, I immediately pull them back. I pull these guys back and I move these FSK up to this edge of the forest because I want to catch his Formosa. If his Formosa gets spotted moving from here to here, I want these guys to stun them using the MG3s, since that's within range. I unload my Rangers and I start hopping them from hedgerow to hedgerow to gain vision and fox. And I pull out my Tornado F2 to dissuade him from using his bombers. I call in 2 squads of South Korean napalm infantry to counter the Formosa. Since my Bradley is now calm, I decide to move him up into Delta and see if I can get any Totu snipes. So since the FSK here died, I know his Formosa is just going to be somewhere around here, maybe even pushed up here, so I decide it's not worth it. I move these FSK up to my SAS to reinforce them. So I call out a D Eagle to dislodge the Conquerors teams that are in this town, but I'm coming at it at a different angle. Rather than flying straight in and bombing it in this line, I'm flying my D Eagle out this way and bombing it in this line. That way, even if the Conquerors retreat up and down, they can't really dodge the 20 HE bombs. The only adjacent town sector they have is this one right here, but that's right in my line of bombing, so they can't really get away from that. The Tornado F2, I fly it around here so that it can cover my D Eagle. I call out an extra AA piece for left. I see his MI8 TV, so I attack move these this SAS to see if I can intercept it. Moving my Rangers up. I call in some Givarman 90 because I need some cheap infantry to take this town. My SAS engages the LSTR-40. The LSTR-40 are armed with God tier carbines, so I know my SAS are going to get wrecked. So I pull these guys back and I move my FSK up. I target down the napalm bomber with my Tornado F2, and that scares Duro, and he immediately evacs the plane. That's exactly why I bought the ASF in the first place. I don't get the kill, by the way. So this napalm infantry I originally bought to counter the Formosa, but I decide it would be better to get the town instead, so I decide to move these guys up to the town. I call in 2 units of Hachinanashiki. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these guys, but I call them out just in case. Autocannon Recon is very multi-role and very flexible. They can take down anything basically that's not a tank. So you can call them out in the field and decide what you want to do with them afterwards. So I notice his helicopters being a little ballsy, so I attack move my SAS so that they use their stingers. I keep moving my Bradley up, as you can see here, because I want to get rid of the T-55. My SAS engage the LSTR, so I pull these guys back since they're losing men, and I move my fresh FSK in so that they can finish off the LSTR. I call in recon infantry because I want to get better sight on Delta. The problem is, since this is my opponent's side, I want some exceptionally sneaky recon, and that's why I called in the 2-man sniper team, so I can kind of place him in a hedgerow like here and not be spotted for a really long time. remember how I said I moved my Leopard 185 here to provide gun support into the town? Well, it's happening right now. I call out my D Eagle anyway because I want to get rid of that moat shoot soon. Originally, I had the bombing target here, but I decided to move it a little bit further back to also maybe catch this OT-64C. But I made a huge mistake. I should have called out my air superiority fighter along with my bomber, but I called it in a little too late. So his MiG-29 actually ends up shooting down my D Eagle. Although I also get to shoot his ASF down. Notice how I'm being very aggressive in my recon. I'm moving them from hedgerow to hedgerow to get as much sight as I can in Foxtrot, and using my Leopard 185 to snipe at whatever's getting spotted. I call in 2 units of Hachinanashiki here. Once again, I'm not too sure what I want to do with them, but it's always nice to have combat units that, you know, you can decide what you want to do with them later. So I unload these guys, I get them into the town. I notice he has a lot of ATGMs over here, so I immediately pull back my Hachinanashikis. I notice he has an ATGM here as well. I pull back my Avenger because I don't like getting sniped. So I notice he has a Mi-24P, the East German anti-air helicopter. I don't think I needed to respond to this since there really wasn't much that he could have sniped, but I didn't have any AA here and I felt a little ballsy, so I purchased a Wild Weasel and attempted to shoot this down with my Wild Weasel. In retrospect, it was a pretty stupid move.
Where do you need us, sir? Has an enemy chopper been spotted?
I call a supply truck to resupply that tank and repair it. I almost lose the Wild Weasel. That was not a smart move by me. So I unload my 2-man sniper team. I decide not to move him into Delta just yet, but have some extra recon over here on Alpha, since I know he has this area pretty much on lockdown. Okay, when you're sneaking infantry from this side into the spawn zone, this is the most dangerous part of that of the crossing, because his land units spawn here and he's going to be calling them out this way. So you have to time it right. You have to keep your infantry here for a little bit, see if he's spawning a reinforcement wave. Once that reinforcement wave passes, you move him into this forest here, where they're going to be safer since they have immediate access around here. I decide to move my FSK up and see if I can get into this town. I lost my AA here, that was bad. I decide to push up my Leopard 185 here and see if I can spot a CV. But I pull him back because I notice his gunship's coming around this way. I lose the FSK here. I attack move my Hachinanashikis this way. I temporarily forgot he had ATGMs here, and I knew he had some Formosa here, so I wanted to use these guys to dislodge the Formosa. I attack move the SAS this way because I was thinking maybe I could snipe down his gunship. So I noticed the Conquerors here. I don't pull these guys back. Instead, I attack move because they're at 1 HP. All they need is one more hit and they go down. So I decide to take my chances and try and snipe them down. I also move my Leopard so that maybe they can finish them off. So here, if my opponent was being attentive at spawn or looking at his minimap, this would have given away the position of my SAS since they fired a stinger and hit the napalm bomber. But lucky for me, he actually does not notice it. And it works in my favor because this guy's already at half health now. So I notice he doesn't have his CV here. The only logical places his CV could be is in this forest or in this town. Now, I predict it's not in this forest because players generally don't want to place their CV too far forward in their home zone. So I'm sort of guessing it might be in this town. If not, it might be up in this forest. Call in recon infantry again since I lost the original sniper team. Move my SAS up. I notice he has the his gunship here. I originally attack moved my SAS, but I didn't want them giving away their position by accidentally firing on this gunship, so I changed it from an attack move to a regular move. And also notice how I turned that stinger off, but I probably forgot about that. I call in a Leopard 185 because I like the gun to counter any push he might do from Foxtrot. So here, I notice he has a unit here. I know that's not a CV. And that unit there pretty much gave away that he has a CV somewhere around here because players generally put their base defenses near the CV. I pull my Crotal back because I don't want it getting sniped down by the Conquerors. I dodged 2 missile shots from it, which is really lucky for me. So, here I move my Gevarman in here, not here. Notice how I pulled back my Leopard 185? I pulled it back because I noticed that its unit icon was solid rather than blinking, and that reminded me that he still does have Formosa in this forest, so I pulled them back so that they're not visible, and I move my Hachinanashiki up here to provide any gun support and prevent the Formosa from pushing out. That. I move my Crotal up to intercept this Hind. My Hachinanashikis, I attack move them to kill the ASU-85M, and my SAS actually managed to find his CV here.
I'm not at liberty to discuss previous missions with you, sir. I'm not at liberty to discuss previous missions with you, sir.
So while my SAS are tackling tackling the command infantry at his spawn, I move my Hachinanashikis into this forest to see if I can snipe his Foxtrot CV at the same time. I call out a infantry CV so I can start getting, or start bleeding, or letting him bleed points. So this happened pretty quickly, but if you can see here, I attack moved them here. I wasn't sure what that was. It turns out to be East German shock recon. And I don't want them driving through here and getting shot down by the shock recon, so I instead move them over here. I called out my Tornado F2 because I was predicting he would call in a bomber to kill my SAS or my Hachinanashikis.
I'm not at liberty to discuss previous missions with you, sir.
So I got pretty lucky here. My Hachinanashikis moved in here. His CV happened to be in this little hedgerow, and I get the snipe on it. And it turns out I actually killed all of the CVs on the field, so that netted me the win. So good game to you, Duro, and I'll see you guys in the next game.